Welcome back, friends. As I suggested that I would be talking about the 4 elements one by one and elaborating upon the context related to creativity with these elements, wherein you see we are seeking the major idea. So, let us talk about USP. It is one of the most commonly spoken words in the field of marketing, sales and integrated marketing communication as well. And you see here, when we talk of USP of a product which is being highlighted through communication, how you project USP, and we refer to several products which are indifferentiable so easily. In today's parlance, you would also find even houses not being so differentiable, but still they are being projected with a different kind of an orientation for every person who is seeking to purchase a house. It's very important when you purchase an automotive. So, automotive has to have a different element which you should like, or it should be projected that way from the other similar automotives available, and you see you are putting a particular kind of a money there. So, that is that one has to understand, and many a times when two people are going to purchase the same automotive, then also you have to create some differentiation of thought when we are talking to those people, although that is done on the ground. So, you see when you talk of USP, there is an element of benefit, uniqueness, and how potent what you are talking about that is. So, when we talk of benefit, the orientation is that buy this product and you will benefit this way or enjoy this reward. Paytm karo. Now that made it, although this period has been supported by such kind of avenues a lot, basically wherein people could not go to banks. So, definitely it has been a great business for them, but a service by them as well. But you see how uniquely they position themselves. If you look at the advertisements which Paytm came with in due course of time, for example, you are purchasing something on a shop, and it's general that you don't have change, and he also doesn't want to give you change. So he offers you some toffees, and it happens randomly to the levels of 5 rupees, 10 rupees also, and it's compulsive for almost everyone. It's not that they are doing it deliberately, but then if you have Paytm, you can pay the exact amount. Auto rickshaw, you are going, there is a campaign associated with these kind of things, the benefits which Paytm goes for. And then there are several other services which Paytm offers. So, and then they have come up with a very beautiful campaign associated with all the services they offer in due course of time. They have been building up their business, they have been projecting the services simultaneously, they have been comparing, and they have been uniquely positioning themselves. It is not that they are the only such kind of an avenue, but they have done well. We should commend them for this. Then the element of uniqueness, and when we talk of uniqueness, it is related to that something rivals can't offer, or at least it should project that way. Although Apple has so many things which are different, or which they can claim that are different basically, and people do find it that way. But one important element in today's era related to privacy, which was projected by Apple in due course of time, occupied a huge space and time in media and on internet, and lots of creativity was involved there from the side of Apple. When they came up with a beautiful campaign wherein people are loudly telling their passwords, for example. Now it's intriguing, but they wanted to say that if you are using Apple, then this is not a possibility. And several other related advertisements, for example, very personal messages or photographs, or any other thing which you can relate to at this particular moment, and which somehow get released when you use mobile phones or mobile communication. So, Apple suggested that they care for the privacy, and they have systems in place wherein they your privacy would not be compromised, and that uniquely projected what they wanted to say. Not many organizations, they have been trying this kind of a thing. And talking about mobiles, mobile communication companies, they have been talking about several kinds of unique elements which they offer. I mentioned about the speed. Almost all the mobile companies, they came up with this campaign of speed, but then it did not remain unique to anyone. So people started going for caller tunes, that this is how they are unique basically. And there was a wonderful A.R. Rahman campaign related to caller tune of Airtel, and it made it so famous actually, and everyone used to have similar kind of a caller tune because it was liked by many people. And then they started projecting caller tunes, and then caller tunes became a particular product which was being sold by mobile communication companies in due course of time. You see, that is the kind of thing which creativity can do. It can convert a service into a specific saleable element, and that is where this uniqueness it comes in. The promise must be strong enough or attractive enough to move people. Geo Prime membership ads, which actually attracted lots of customers to add on to their mobile communication, if not they are willing to change their numbers basically, or the service providers. So there was a time I remember when almost everyone subscribed to an additional Geo phone because of some or the other reason, and every known, and there are so many people who have been switching over from this to that, and then from there also, but Geo has done well. They have come a far way from where they started in terms of offering that element of membership or perspective. So you see, when we look at creativity and USP, so creativity enables all of this, and the products which I am referring at this moment, look at their comparative products just for a while, and probably you would understand the element of creativity present here in these examples. You can choose other examples to compare for that. You can look into largely sold products, as I have been talking about, let us say motorcycles, let us say some scooter, let us say some course basically, let us say some any other thing basically. For example, some courses precisely talk about the kind of the prospect they hold for as far as their support to the admission seeking students go, and so on. And recently I was watching an advertisement wherein that precisely projected on a shoe which is suitable for walking. I happened to talk to a retail salesman about that, and I said that, can't I run wearing this shoe? He said that it is more comfortable for walking, and that is how it is being positioned, and that is how it is being projected through this kind of a message. That is what USP element comes in actually. Now let us move to the next element, but before that let us look at some attractive slogans that have helped companies to build brand image, and we must admire. Remember, slogans or taglines are a very important part of business strategy at the end of the day, and one particular element of strategy is driven through taglines, because they project your positioning as well, and we will be talking about the positioning as such. Apple, they says think different. How different, to what extent, and what is the difference? No, they just projected think different, and it actually appeals. How they would have reached to these two words is altogether a different story. If you will read their website, they will explain that, and it's whole lot of a beautiful process when people deliberate on these kind of things, and you would admire the methodologies they follow, how Apple reached to this half apple basically, or sliced apple, whichever way you want to look at it, and recently one of their advertisements wherein this I mentioned this privacy advertisement. If you will watch that, you will realize that they show a symbol wherein Apple is locking your secret, secrecy basically, or it's valuing your secrecy. McDonald's, I am loving it, yellow M written, I am loving it, mascot sitting besides it. I don't think that there would be many people around us where the McDonald's is present, especially in the cities, who have not taken their pictures with that mascot actually, and especially children. And I've seen adults sitting besides the mascot and taking selfies and clicking photographs, and many of my students say that no, that they haven't done this, but I assure that they will do this one day. So because somehow person gets tempted to sit on that bench besides that mascot and get clicked on and say I am loving it, having a strawberry sundae in their hands basically, and so on. It's not simple. McDonald's has become one of the largest fast food chains in the world. This simple tagline has contributed a big time in that kind of an achievement. Surf Excel, daag achhe hain. That was one of the, I take it as one of the most important turning points in Surf Excel. Although I would be talking about another turning point in Surf's history later on, when I will be talking to you about some other element. But Daag Achhe Hain was a defining moment for as far as Surf Excel goes. Hero Honda, Desh Ki Dhadkan, we have talked about that earlier. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi. Since beginning I have mentioned this tagline few times now. But at this particular moment, I want you to go to other competitors of LIC and try to look at their taglines. What do they say? And it's not denouncing anyone. Every tagline is wonderfully creative, whichever way you look at it. But just write it on the board or some paper and write this one somewhere and try to look at the intrinsic appeal associated with this tagline, and you would realize what creative element. Idea before merging with Vodafone, and I don't know if they are still saying this tagline, an idea can change your life. See, somehow they thought of this, then they started projecting this as well. I remember there was a beautiful campaign given by Idea which became excessively relevant in COVID period actually. Idea since long has been projecting about how mobile phones can be used for education dissemination. There was a wonderful, you see, I belong to the field of education, and you definitely, all of you are students. So, and during this past 2 years, we have realized the importance of education delivery, education reception through mobile phones, the role of mobile phones in getting educated. And Idea initiated this campaign long back, wherein they said that, you see, you can take education to the nooks and corners of everywhere people are unable to achieve it, or somehow schools do not have that kind of an infrastructure, by just taking up mobile phones to the people. COVID unfortunately came in, but that thing became relevant, and somehow we could steer that thanks to lot many mobile phones, thanks to the mobile phone service providers, and then several portals whose the apps which we have been using. So, Lifebuoy, as always, Tandurusti, health, and so on. So, and there are hundreds and thousands. Just take it as an exercise. Try and write 100 favorite taglines of yours. Try to associate those taglines with creative element and USP and the rest of the elements I would be talking to you after this. So, this will be quite enabling for you. Now, you see, as I mentioned, we have talked about this briefly, creating a brand image. This is one of the elements of the whole twin master scenario which we have been discussing. So, and I talked about salts, I talked about sugar, I talked about cement, I talked about, now start thinking in terms of less differentiable products, for example, chips. Why Uncle Chips or Lays are sold at that levels? You would have visited shopping malls, departmental stores, you have been purchasing locally manufactured chips as well. Here I would give you a very remarkable example wherein you go to the southern parts of this country, our country India, and you would find that somehow locally manufactured chips are more popular as compared to branded chips. So, I have personally observed that, my observation might not be so right, but I have observed that. And there an element of branding has yet to be achieved by the branded chips like Lay's and so on. But in northern parts of India, usually people buy Lay's and Uncle Chips and so on. Pringles for example, they have a unique product and they have been projecting it most uniquely, through the picture of a mustached person on the bag basically, and then they have different kinds of flavors. So, less differentiable products are also highly differentiated with the help of creativity. Then you see, the creativity sales strategy is based on a strong memorable brand identity through image advertising, through only Vimal for example. There was a beautiful campaign by Vimal long back and I have talked about it once. Then the Complete Man Raymonds, that campaign also did exceptionally well, and that projected that product to different levels, especially the stitched apparels also when we talk about. And then there are several kinds of shirts. Remember the honest shirt, Peter England, that kind of a campaign, Van Heusen, that kind of a campaign, and Peter England worked exceptionally well in India. I remember there was a time when they were ruling as far as the sales go, and they have done very well. So, this is what we are referring to when we talk about creating a brand image goes. And look at soft drinks, look at perfumes, clothing we have talked about, airlines. Airlines are highly differentiable, still indifferentiable. There is a convenient connection between this place to that place, and one airline is moving from on that route, you would definitely prefer that basically. Many a times you do not have a price choice also. Price is a very big discriminator between the choices of two airlines when you are thinking in terms of moving from one place to other place. Time is another differentiator, but that is operational actually. How to utilize creativity for that? So, one airline started projecting the hot steamed food being served in the night flights for example, because they realized that passengers somehow when they would be taking night flights going back to their homes, they might be bothering their family members to eat, or they might be stopping by somewhere to have food before going back homes if they are staying alone, and because that's the night time when they have to put everything at rest. So, they said that we will be serving you hot food while you are going back home, so that you do not have to worry after boarding off. Now, the third element, positioning, and as I told you, we have talked about positioning with different references, because it is one of those things which is almost kind of the second side of the coin when we talk of integrated marketing communication. It's merged with the concept of integrated marketing communication, because the sole purpose of IMC at many a times is to position the product in the minds of the customer, and that is if you enjoy that kind of a positioning, you will keep on purchasing the product and so on. So, we have talked about that. So, you see, as we know that it establishes a particular place in the customer's mind, and based on product's attributes, benefits, price, quality, use or application, type of user, problem solved and so on. So, creativity actually enables this. How would you remember a product? Because of its price, because of its quality, because of its taste, because of its packaging? What would come to the fore when we are thinking of a particular kind of a product? How does it resonates in your mind actually? I am not comparing at this moment, but have you talked to someone when someone is getting their house painted, and a young child, you ask him that what kind of a paint you would be getting in your on your walls, so he would say narrow lack, narrow lack, narrow lack. kind of. So you see, there are several other paints. Probably the person who is painting the house would be bringing in some other paint, but it's on your mind, narrow lag, kind of. I remember not so long back, you know, one of my helpers, she asked me to help her in choosing a refrigerator from a shop. So I took her to the shop, and we were selecting on the refrigerator for her, and I was explaining, you know, that this refrigerator would do this way and that way. So she was repeatedly taking a particular kind of a name which was positioned in her mind, and that particular refrigerator was not available there, but still it was there in her mind actually. So many a times the name gels with the product category actually, and that is where positioning magic works. BMW says that it is the ultimate driving machine. Now when you call your car a machine, it gives you a very specific feeling of command, of usability, of effectiveness, of, you know, emphasizing a persona, personality, and so on. The dream machine, the ultimate machine, you know, the magical machine, the strong machine, and so on. You see how it resonates actually. Am I sounding like a car salesman? No, no, don't take it that way. Now let us go to the next phase of the next block of our discussion, inherent drama. I have talked about most of the things which we will be shortly looking at as far as the slide goes, but here I want to emphasize on one important thing. You see, I told you that creativity calls for an intuitive ability to identify the inherent drama that resides within a product through the conscious use of earthy vernacular imagery, and here the creative experts visit the idea about what business we are into. This sentence I have talked about what business we are in the initial most part of when I initiated this subject. When I was talking about, you know, how IMC actually supports that perspective of what business we are into. And here creativity actually emphasizes upon the element of what business we are into. So when we talk of, you know, creativity in association with the inherent drama, here you see, for example, we are selling salt. Now it's recently you would have seen one advertisement related to salt, wherein you know, the purity of the salt is being projected in relation to the source of that salt. Now when that kind of a message is being projected, the marketers, they keep on thinking in terms of what business we are into. Are we just plain and you know, simple salt producers and salt manufacturers, or we can look at ourselves being the part of the lives of the customers. For example, semi cooked foods. Now it is a very important kind of you know, thing for us to understand, because in today's era most of the households they have there's ready to cook food actually. What business we are into? Are we into the business of actually selling semi cooked foods which are easy to be cooked, or we are enabling the lives of our customers by giving them facilitation with the help of our technology, product packaging, and the pre-mixed kind of a thing which we are offering to them. So are we into the business of enabling their lives or just the food business? That is where Complan, for example, if they think that they are food supplement, or let us say whichever way you want to look at it, a nutrition product, that is simple. But if you think that Complan basically is related to supporting and enabling the growth of a child, so that is where they came in with, I am a Complan boy and I am a Complan girl kind of, that I belong to this, and this actually projects and enables me to take me there, or you know, contributes in my height or so. So that is where, you know, that inherent drama, that perspective actually which is built around through these messages come in. beautiful advertisements of air conditioners and split units you must have seen recently, wherein someone comes at home and kind of cooling has to be enhanced, and then that cooling should be the circular flow of the air has to be emphasized by, so this sensitive or sensible cooling kind of a concept which comes in. What business we are into, remember this basically. And then that wonderful campaign of, I think, one of the air conditioning companies, wherein they talked about controlling the air conditioners from wherever they are, kind of. So see, that actually talks about the philosophy we want to project about our product, how closely we are related to that our products actually. And this inherent drama element, it is associated with when messages generally presented are presented in a warm and emotional way, and I have talked about this, but just look into the video of this example, Hallmark for example. And then there are several ads by Tanishq, very emotional, wonderful, related to our lives. Just look into those advertisements and you will realize what actually I am talking about. So, I will just sum it up here, that through these 4 elements which we have just discussed, we look at the aspect of creativity from this side, and from the side of creativity we realize that we project all these 4 with a strategic coherence, so as to take the message rightly to our customer. And I would not refrain from saying that now onwards, start looking into pictures with creative element, start looking at blue sky with the perspective of creative bend, start looking at things with a poetic kind of an orientation, start noticing rhymes, start noticing the element of priming there, start noticing on how that sound is actually soothing you or affecting your mind, and start remembering the sounds of jingles which you keep on humming throughout the day many a times. With this thought, I leave you in this session, and I will be joining you with some other elements of creativity next session. Goodbye.